Hi, happy Sunday. I know it's a little bit unexpected. I'm usually around during the week or in the evening, but this is not just any Sunday. I've really been waiting to do this for a while. Uh, I am Jodine Sher, your transformation coach of Lifeology, and it's so important that I come online and chat to you about tomorrow, the 21st of December, 2020. Wow. We've been waiting for this for such a long time. I want to start off by saying I'm not an astrologer. I'm a passionate numerologist, and I know that I talk about numerology often, but there's certain things that happen within the sky that are really important to the impact that actually impacts you as well as us within Lifeology and how we get to support you. So when I talk about certain planetary things that are happening, it's because we know that there's going to be such a distinct impact in it that the way that we guide you as transformation coaches and the way that we help you is so important that the planetary stuff becomes important. So tomorrow, 21st December 2020, is historic. We are not going to see this in our lifetime again, and it's really an opportunity for us to be so deeply conscious. And if you understand what's happening in the shift of energy tomorrow, it can really start to give you an understanding of how the energy and the world is going to change around you, not today, not tomorrow, not in the next couple of days, but in the years and years to come. So the one thing that consistently happens tomorrow is that it is the solstice. Whether you are in the northern or the southern hemisphere, the solstice is all about the ending and the beginning. So it's a shift in the season, and it really focuses on what is happening with the sun, shining light on all of the things that are so important. And because of that, this day of the solstice is really showing us that it's an opportunity for us to reflect on new beginnings, the way to do things differently. And if that's not enough, we have what is called the Great Conjunction. I'm sure it's been impossible for you to miss. It's been all over mainstream news. Everyone is talking about it. It's popping up in my feed everywhere. And this moment that is happening, we can look at all the dates and we can say this hasn't happened for 200 years, which is true. So it's all about the movement of Saturn and Jupiter, these two planets, and they are two outer planets, and they're really, really big. And the impact that they have on us is not the day-to-day kind of impact like the moon, but it's the bigger universal global shift in consciousness impact that these planets have. I'm sure many of you have also heard about Saturn Return, so you know that every 27, 30 odd years within your life, Saturn comes back to the place where it was when you were born, and certain things happen at that particular time. And this is also perfectly aligned because every 20 years, Saturn and Jupiter do this reconnection. But this is what's really incredible about what's going on. The first thing is that this has not these planets stay for a really, really long time in certain elements. So they have been in earth signs for 200 years. And they are now moving into Aquarius, which is an air sign. And they stay in air signs for 200 years. And the shift from that earth energy, what it means to be in earth energy, into what it means to be in air energy, is something that is so important for each of us to understand. From a point of view just of real fascination, and if you do have a telescope, first of all, it's the first time that we'll be able to see this particular conjunction this way with the telescope, because the last time it was like this was 800 years ago. And that is just the close proximity that the two planets are in. So when you look at it, it's going to look like it's one big star, which is incredible. It's also really, really impactful that it is at 0 degrees Aquarius. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. I am not someone who believes that we are not, there is any separation between us and the universe. I know that there is this absolute connection, and in this absolute connection, we know the impact that all of this makes on us, but I need to really make sure that you understand the impact that it has on you and the impact that it's going to have for years and years to come. So it's important to understand Jupiter, Saturn, Aquarius, and then to understand what it means to be shift into this air sign space after all of these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So Jupiter and Saturn aren't the best of friends. And the reason is because Jupiter is all about optimism. It's a really optimistic planet. And it's about healing. It's about growth. It's about development. There's something so positive in Jupiter, which we absolutely need. We need to feel it. This planet needs healing. We need to shift in our level of consciousness. And 2020 has been all about these first steps to see the places where we ultimately really need to shift in all these levels of understanding of who we are. Saturn, on the other side of it, is all about life lessons, and it's about responsibility, and it's about restriction the whole time. And what's amazing about this and the way that it connects is because of the fact that it's moving into Aquarius. And that movement into Aquarius is all about innovation. It's about revolution, and it's about humanitarian aspects, and it's about independence. Those are the real, just the overall, and I wanted to make sure that you understand it from everything that's going on. And then something that's so earthly, we've been in this earth space for so long, that's all about big government. Real foundation. It's a bigger energy, and it's about money, and it's about rules. And now all of a sudden we're moving into an air sign that is all about creativity and about community and small business and shifting mindset. That shift is finally catching up with us. The clock doesn't strike 12 and then all of a sudden all of this energy shifts and changes. It takes a while, and we start to feel these things before it happens, and then it starts to really move over a long period of time. Remember, this is a 200-year cycle that we're coming up to. There's a smaller 20-year cycle when Jupiter and Saturn will meet again, but this bigger picture of air is what's so important. And we're starting to feel it, and there's two examples that I want to give you for you to truly understand what is happening with this shift. The one is the school system. So I have the absolute joy of living with my sister and seeing my nephews grow up and watching the school system, the exact school system, actually not the exact school system. The school system is worse than when I was in school. And I left a long time ago. I think it's coming up to my 30, yes, it will be my 30-year reunion next year. These kids are so overloaded with things that they have to program into their memory. And this whole memory process, that is so much about this earthly way of doing things. But air is shifting into this creativity. And the most important thing that you need to understand in this whole transition that we're going through is that it's time to shift from the old into the new. We're going to be talking about that a lot. It's going to be such a focus in every single thing that I do. And I'm going to repeat myself so often where I'm going to say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm going to say it the whole of next year. And as we continue, and this is the reason why transformation coaching is going to be so important for people, because it's this navigating between this old and this new, and the school system is an absolute demonstration of what it's like to be in that space. These kids that are born and then they are growing up, this Generation Z that we're looking at, and we're so fascinated by them, they were born specifically by soul choice into a time where there is technology, and they don't need to memorize all the different things. They don't need to memorize all of the main rivers that run through the whole of South Africa, or all of the presidents of the United States of America. They get to Google that. The reason why that is starting to shift is because as it moves into the air sign, in order for this evolution to happen on every level, financially, for this business world to change, for all of that to shift, we actually need creativity and imagination. So the mind space should have really, it's open. These kids are ready. They are waiting because they have been born in perfect alignment with everything that's going on around us. But the school system hasn't shifted. And what is going to happen is a guarantee that it's going to happen over periods of time is that the school system will no longer be able to survive. That old earthly school system where they needed to study and learn and regurgitate things out onto a piece of paper will not be able to work anymore. And it's this whole figuring out of what this transition from the old into the new actually looks like. Another example is the government system. And what's happening is so many people don't like the government system and they want the government system to change. It's been really, really frustrating. Then something like COVID comes along and we want to be in the energy of the new. So we want to be independent. We don't want to be ruled by government. But we have not, as individuals, as people who should be humanitarian, this is stepping into this air energy. This air energy is calling for us to be humanitarian and to think about our neighbor and to take care of ourselves in order for this government system to fall away. This old system that we don't want, if you want it to fall away, you have to figure out what it means to govern yourself and to be the humanitarian within yourself, that we don't need that old system. But as long as we are not listening to the rules that the government's putting into place, they shouldn't even need to put the rules in place. But not enough people are taking it seriously. So we're actually ending the year in greater chaos with this pandemic than we started it. But it's the ideal reflection, especially at this time, right on December 21, where we get to see that if we don't want this old, what does it mean to transform into the new? That is what all of this work is about. It's such deep shifts in levels of consciousness that is coming consistently. Another thing, if you are someone who meditates, someone who understands third dimension into fifth dimensional shifting, if you have done affirmations in the past and vision boards in the past, then if you are slowly starting to move with this alignment out of earth into this air space and out of the this restriction of all of this processing that needs to be done and into this free creative thinking that is coming up, then meditation, sitting for meditation from a long period of time actually should be getting to you now. I am no longer meditating. I now am dancing. It's all about movement. My energy has completely shifted. Also, there's such an incredible shift in breath work that's even happening, where we used to have to sit for so long and really focus on the breath. And now, as we just navigate our way through our lives in this more present sense of consciousness, even breath work is going to shift. When you are aware of your breathing, when you are aware of who you are in the moment and you can pull yourself into the present moment, that is when true manifestation and true alignment is all going to fall into place. I know that for some people it might sound so off the charts, and for other people this is the message that you've been waiting to hear. But that's the whole point of this energy. The whole point is that we're sitting in these two extremes at the moment, this extreme of the old and this extreme of the new. And it's the way that each one of us needs to navigate our way through into that. And the most important place where that needs to happen is your relationship with you. And so much of this work is now going to become deeply, deeply personal. That's where Greg and myself and Vic, the healing, really wants to step in and say that we empathize with you through this process. And we have worked so hard in our own journeys of transformation that we are ready to support as you try and figure out, what does transformation mean to you? A lot of the work that's coming up for us is shadow work. And in that shadow work, it's not going into your astrology and having a look and saying, oh, these are the 7 things that is negative about a Leo. That's not what it is. That is that old earthly stuff. The new processing of shadow work is to understand who you are. I want to explain something to you. At the exact moment of your birth, the entire universe stands still, and there is a snapshot that is taken of the sky, of everything. Your soul chooses that exact moment to be born. And in that exact moment, all of your astrology comes to life and your numerology comes to life, and it goes on and on into human design and into archetypes. And there are layers and layers and layers of all these elements that fall into place. Every single planet is exactly where it needs to be in order for a particular character to be developed within yourself. The soul wants to work with that particular character in order for that soul journey to be as enlightened and as bold and as brave and as fun as the soul can possibly have it. The agreement between the soul then kicks in with this ego that develops over time. So we're not born with ego, we're born with this knowing that of the soul, but this ego develops, and it's just a bank of memories that happens over time. But the ego will be particularly created from the characteristics that form from the exact time that you're born, and we don't take enough notice of it. So we always say, I wish life had a handbook. I wish I had a handbook for life, but we actually do. The handbook sits within the character of who you are, whether you pull your sun sign and your moon sign and your ascending. So some people, you just open up a magazine and you're looking at your sun sign, and when we talk to people or when we try and get to know someone, all we want to know is the sun sign. That's one aspect of ourselves. The moon sign will show us who we emotionally are. The sun sign talks about our character and the way that we show up in our levels of esteem within the world. And then the ascending sign, which is the sign that is rising over the horizon when we were born, that is the one that shows us how we're going to show up in the world. And we spent our lives searching for this, what is our purpose, which is a whole other video for me to unpack. But in that, understanding that purpose, if you really want to figure that out, you should be looking at your ascending sign. And in all of that, there's shadow. And the shadow is not the negative. The shadow are the places within yourself that you are hiding. You're not stepping into the depths of who you are within your character, which the soul ultimately wants you to do. And the ego also wants you to do that. The thing is that the ego just needs to figure out what it means to be brave and to be supported by the soul. But there's something really important to understand. Those two travel together. They're not going anywhere. Soul will not leave ego behind. And ego cannot function without soul. They need each other. But in that, and in this new space, stepping into this air energy and stepping into this 5D level of consciousness, the place where it's really starting to shift now is in this relationship between ego and soul. The depth that we need to get to know each other in order for us to really rise in levels of consciousness, because whether we like it or not, it's happening around us. That's exactly what this taste of COVID has been all about. It's been literally the universe saying, what you think you knew about how life works and operates and functions, it doesn't work that way. But it's a huge, big adventure for you to figure out how it works. So I know it sounds like a lot, and it might sound crazy to some, it might sound scary to others, but actually it's such a beautiful space to be in, this incredible transition of who we are, and it's all based on levels of consciousness. And in that journey, I really just want to let you know that we are here to support you. It took me so long to figure out what it meant to really be a transformation coach. And there were a lot of times where I was sitting and it just felt like it was a title for so long. And now it's really and truly shifted for me because I understand how deeply important transformation is. Each one of us are going to go through it whether we are ready for it or not. So I hope that there's a level of awareness tomorrow and just a celebration tomorrow in any level. A lot of people have reached out to me and they've said to me, what are you doing tomorrow for the 21st of December? So I started juicing today. I'm absolutely clean eating today, tomorrow, and into the 22nd, so that I'm really only having things that Mother Earth created herself. And then I'm with some very special friends on different levels. We're playing around with shadow work. I'm doing some tarot readings, really, really deeply connected. But in between all of that, I'm going to be outside. I'm going to have music on. I'm going to be dancing. And I'm going to be celebrating all that I have become over all the years. So I want to end this by saying please. This is not easy energy. And the reason why it's not easy is because we need to get a taste of what it means to step out of this old and into the new. And in the stepping out, it can feel very uncomfortable. So I'm asking you for the rest of these days until we get to this new energy, this 5 energy, universal energy, which is when you take 2021 and add it together, you're going to get a 5. And through the shift, please celebrate in any way that you possibly can. The universe really needs you to step into this new energy, knowing the foundation of who you are, the belief systems that you've discovered over this period of time, who you have become. And you have to have been brave because you're here. You have to have done something, even if it feels like everything has crumbled around you. There are parts within your character that have gotten you to this point, and I need you to dig deep, and I need you to find them, because that is the start of the foundation that you need to step into this new year. Don't say things like good riddance 2020. Say thank you 2020. I don't care how hard you have to dig to get to that point. I need you to find it, because that is the energy that's going to carry you through into these years and years and years to come. So that's my Sunday message. Enjoy the energy of the solstice tomorrow and of this incredible conjunction that's happening. If you do have the ability to see it through a telescope or through binoculars, just absolutely enjoy that process and take care of you, take care of everyone around you. Please stay safe, and mostly, if you want to shift into this new dimension over time of this air energy and this creativity that we have, but most importantly, this humanitarian energy that we need to be moving into, please be responsible and care about yourself and your neighbor during this time. Take care.